Hey, Miss Vaughn. So, whoa, there's a bug on me. Once again, filming in the car. So this is going to be my exceptional children's notebook articles. So this is going to be. There's a bee out there. So the first article that I have is called Many Faces of Special Education with RTI Frameworks, and basically what this article is, the three main foci were to examine the United States version of the RTI frameworks, and then they examined Finland's version of the RTI frameworks, and they went through and they found what was similar, what was different. Of course, there's going to be a lot of things different. And the first aim of the research was to actually compare the two, and that's literally what it was. It says to examine and compare the general characteristics of the United States and Finland frameworks. In the U.S., even though the RTI has been accepted as one of the means of learning disability, states can still choose whether or not they can use it, and in Finland, that's completely different. That's basically what the summary is. Then it goes on. The critique of this article, it was pretty easy to understand at first when you're reading the article. It's very confusing. It doesn't make a lot of sense, and honestly, it kind of contradicted itself at first, but it's one of those articles where you have to read the whole article and then you're going to understand the gist of it. You're going to understand what it is if you read the whole article. Then the second one is graphic organizers for secondary students with learning disabilities. And the summary for this article, sorry, I have all my papers in the way, I apologize. The summary for this article is just, it basically goes into saying that there's different ways for students to learn. Secondary student, I have a really bad itch. I'm so sorry. I want to say the secondary, I had it and then I lost it. I had what I was going to say, Miss Vaughn, and I lost it. Okay, that's fine. Anyway, what this is this went over different ways to help students with learning disabilities. They had different tools they would help. They had different, you know, let's try the iPad, let's try the educational games in the iPad, let's try just doing flashcards, let's try something kinesthetic. That's basically what the study was. The critique that I'm going to have to say for this one is going to be, it's kind of something that's going to kind of take you a little bit to get into. I don't believe the reader is going to fully understand it unless they are in the education field and unless they are kind of going and understanding of learning disabilities and, you know, what secondary student is and where they're at in that situation, what's good at graphic organizers, because when you're in the teaching program, you know some tools that can already help you. Basically, that's why I say that. It was pretty easy to understand. Like I said, it's kind of hard to get into at first. Very organized. Everything is labeled, so you know the paragraphs, you know what's going to go into it. There's quotes on the side, so it's a very well written article. The authors made very sure to include, there's charts in here. They made sure to include a whole lot, like I said, charts, so that way you can actually see and go, oh, that makes sense. The next one we have is teaching preschoolers with autism. Now this is really good. This also, I guess, ties into something I mentioned in the last video. This, basically, the summary of this, it's going to go in, first off, it's going to tell you about autism, okay? If you don't know what autism is, this is good to tell you about autism. It's going to let you know, how to deal with autism, what students with autism deal with, how their mind works, how every form of autism is a different form all around. There's no categorizing. Yes, autism is a wide umbrella, but there's different sets of autism in every category. My papers keep coming apart. I'm so sorry, and it's just going to make a mess, and it's going to drive me crazy. So, it first starts out with about teachers and how they try their hardest to provide for students with autism, and it goes in with the teacher struggle to provide for her students. There's no charts in here. There's a couple pictures. There's no charts in here. My critique on this, everything, there is well, there's no definitions in here, but I will say that everything Everything is labeled. Like I said, there's a lot of labeling going on. All of the head marks. There's a big picture right there. But I really was impressed with how well the writers labeled everything and how well they gave you resources down here. I really thought that was awesome. They gave you resources down here. There's actual websites you can go to, and you can go look these things up if you want to, or you can just keep the article. But they did a really good job with making sure that it was interesting for the reader. It's very easy to understand, honestly. I think the only hard thing that someone might have trouble with understanding would just be grasping the concept of autism and what it is. That's honestly the hardest thing I think that a reader would take. But everything else, it's a very interesting article. It kind of sucks you in. It's kind of a page turner for an article. If an article could be a page turner, that's what it is. But it's very informative. Again, like I said, very organized, which is something that I look for in an article because I need that organization. So that is that. Then we have the fourth article. And this says, teaching handwriting to elementary students with learning disabilities. This is a problem-solving approach. Basically, the article is just as it sounds. They're going to be teaching the students with learning disabilities how to write. It gets into there's a lot of percentages in here. There's a lot of numbers in here. It even shows you something that I thought, honestly, was really awesome. It gives you a little chart. Well, my neighbors is coming up with their dog. You might see them. It gives you a little chart, and it shows you how to do the writing, how the fine motor movement, the visual motor coordination. It just gives you all kinds of pointers in here, and it's just a really great. It also shows on this page. It also shows how you have to write, and how it shows the students when they're doing their S's, they do number signs. So it just kind of gives you examples of what these students do, and it shows you where they're messing up. Q's and P's, B's and D's. That's basically what the article is. The article is very easy to understand. Again, it kind of gets a little to get into if you're not into handwriting really, or if you're not into students with learning disabilities. The only thing I can say that might be confusing for the reader is all of the percentages in here and all of the numbers in here. For example, we've got, this person in 2013, we've got 37%, 17%, then 6% of that. We have more dates, we've got 52%. I mean, there's a lot of numbers in here that correlate with the article. So I think the reader might get a little bit confused with all these numbers that are going into play, but that's the only thing that I can see the reader getting confused with. Again, like I pointed out, they have great pictures, they have great headers, they have a lot of great organizational, so you can actually keep up and you can actually go, okay, well that would make sense, and let me go back here. They also give you this chart of correctional, and it says the mean correct letters per minute from Graham and colleagues, and it shows the grade. Then it splits it. This is what I found interesting. It splits it into boys, girls, and then all students. And the fact that they split the boys and the girls apart, I thought was very, very interesting, just because it just shows. And on here, the way it's saying correct letters per minute, girls ruled, basically, is what it's saying. So that just kind of puts into perspective of where boys and girls differ mentally and when they're processing. So again, this article is a very good read, very interesting, very easy to follow through. Okay, then our final article. Again, I do want to say, I mentioned it in the last video, when I looked on the criteria online, it said you had to do 5 articles in 10 minutes. So that's what I'm doing. So my final article, it says bringing institutional strategies home, reaching families online. Basically what this article is doing is this is trying to reach out to the parents. It's trying to get them more involved. It's trying to get them to be a part of the, Johnny's education, and say, hey, he's struggling with this. He needs help with math. He needs help with his writing, his L's, and his eyes. Whatever the situation may be. this article is gearing towards helping at home is what it's gearing towards. It goes in here in one of my favorite little passages, I guess. It says a common struggle faced by special education practitioners is that it is difficult to reach parents and practitioner work schedules. And I thought this was really good because it is difficult to reach parents. I remember when I was in grade school, my parents had to have parent-teacher conferences. They didn't want to go because they would have to take off work. They would have to end up losing money just to go. And I mean, things could be fine, things could not be fine, but typically if there's something wrong with the student and the student's not having a good, not learning well, the teacher is going to reach out to the parents. Typically, you're not just going to wait till parent-teacher conference. But if you're trying to make that approach and you're trying to say, hey, well, Johnny's having such a hard time and let's meet face to face, that could be an issue. That could be a real issue. For my critique, as far as the article goes, again, what I really appreciate in all these articles is that they are labeled, they're organized. I love it. There's also a little chart right here to help you get started, and it even says essential questioning for reaching parents online, and it tells you to like think about, hey, can the parents get a hold of you? Is this a good, can you get a hold of the parent? I mean, there's a lot of different things. They have some pictures in here. As far as the article being easy to understand, the most part it is. There's not really any hard vocabulary or hard language in here. There's nothing that the reader should have to know prior to reading this. It's a very interesting article. Again, it's kind of one of those page turners, and I think it's a page turner because it's so organized. Because yes, this is a full page of words, but because they broke it up into sections, they organized it, it's not so hard. So for the reader to look at this, they don't go, oh, I have to read all this. They go, oh, that's not that bad because I can just make a mark here and mark here. Like, that's not a lot of information for the reader to have to read. So I do like how they broke that up. And yes, it is a lengthy article, but again, when they have it broken up like that, it really helps the reader. Also, the use of all kinds of charts, all these little flow charts that are going on, I thought was really awesome. And of course, it gives you some quotes on the side. And I believe this article is useful in more than many ways because we need to get parents back involved, and we need to have, parent interaction. And this article is just one step to getting parents involved, and I love it. I think this is a great article. So that is my Exceptional Children article notebook, Ms. Vaughn. I will see you in class tomorrow. Bye.